welcome back to more Let's Play Dragon Warrior Monsters. Last time, we began our journey after our sister was kidnapped from our home by a weird fluffy little demon, and then a little white puffball took us here to this strange new kingdom where we became a monster master. It was kind of a lot all at once, but we've agreed to help the king rescue his beloved monster, even taking into our own charge our own monster, Slib. Ain't he cute? Now, last time we heard all about these travelers' gates and how they bring us to other worlds. These are also going to be, well, the main place we actually play the game. Go figure, right? So, let's hop in. Here we are in a strange new world. Now, if you remember from last episode, we can press select to look at the map in other worlds. Here, we can see the field, where our exact location is designated by that little pinion there. We can see we're on floor 1 of 4. This is a little deceiving. Every single dungeon is randomized. It's kind of crazy. But this game features random dungeon generation, kinda similar to how some roguelike games of today might do things. Every dungeon can be a maximum size of 4x4 for a total of 16 tiles. They can also be as small as 2x2 for 4 tiles. Dungeons, I believe, can go up to, I think it's like 30 some odd floors, some weird number like that. But still, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Up top, we can see that we're on floor 1 of 4. That's 1 of 4 randomized floors. Every dungeon ends with a boss floor, where you'll fight a boss monster, or face a puzzle and then fight a boss monster. Or at least you have the option to. Some let you leave, but that's very few and far between, so don't go counting on it. So realistically, while it says 1 of 4, it's more like 1 of 4 plus 1 for a total of 5, but that final floor isn't ever considered on the map because you can't view it there. So just take that final number and add 1, and that's how much you're in for. Notably too, with those other boss floors, there's only ever the boss. You're not going to be finding random encounters there, which, that's how the game handles things. As we walk around here and explore the map, we'll find a random battle against a familiar-looking foe. How quaint. Now, with our actual battle menu, we have 4 different options. Fight, should we click it, would tell Slib to just fight as he already has his plan set. If you remember, I set him to cautious before, for a very specific reason that I'll explain in a moment. Otherwise, we can use Terry's turn to use an item on either our party or the enemy's party, doing whatever the item would do. This is very useful, and it makes Terry actually a fairly large portion of the game. He's pretty important. Now, after you use the item, your monsters then automatically fight. Pretty useful. Now, the most important part of the game is planning. Because you are a monster master, you need to train your monsters. And I'm not just talking to have them go beat up other monsters and gain experience. I mean, you need to really train them almost like a new dog. You gotta teach them young, otherwise they won't learn many tricks when they're older. By clicking Plan, we can assign Slib to the same things we could before: Charge, Mixed, Cautious, and Command. Now you might think, well sure, that's well and good, but we could do that out of combat. Why does it matter inside of it? Well, you curious little you, I'm gonna tell ya. In this game, there is a hidden stat for each of these commands. Charge dictates bravery. Mixed dictates, I think it's some goofy thing like caution or something goofy. Well, really, cautious is what dictates caution. I think mixed dictates it's like intelligence or something goofy. I forget the actual name of the stat it dictates. I'll throw it on screen. You get the idea. They all dictate something. Command being the one exception. Commanding your monster will take away their independence and makes them actually not perform as well. It can work in a pinch if your monsters really can't figure out a fight or brew their own tactics that are working. I would seldom use it if you help it. Now, by telling Slib to charge, by pressing the A button, it'll close the menu and then act as if we press the attack button. Now, because we told him to charge, he just became slightly more brave, but a little less intellectual with how he does things. Charging tells him to go all out. Hit him with the biggest, baddest things you got, use as much MP as you need, pull out every damaging trick in the book that they have access to. Now, this is all well and good, but because we did that, while he did get a lot braver, he got a little less intelligent here with the mixed command. So, to fix that, we'll now tell him to use mixed tactics. This will make him a little more intelligent with combat, but lower his overall caution because he's too busy thinking about things. We'll gain 2 EXP for winning the fight. And to find our next battle here, I'll continue explaining as we venture in this randomized unknown world. There we go. Ooh, an anteater, alright. So, like I was saying, he became more brave by charging, but a little less intelligent with mixed tactics. So, in order to fix that, we tell him to do mixed tactics, which gets him all busy thinking about that, and he becomes less cautious. So, now we'll tell him to be cautious, which, in turn, makes him a little less brave. Think of it like this. Every time you plan, you give them +3 in one category for -1 in the category below it, skipping command. So, by continuing down the list, you effectively raise all of their stats that are, of course, hidden. Now you might wonder, why does this matter? Why does doing any of this actually do anything? Well, depending on how brave they are, how intelligent in combat they are, and how cautious they are, they will receive various benefits to their personality, and it will actually change. Monsters who are braver have a higher chance of, I believe, dealing criticals. Monsters who are more intelligent with tactics, I believe, are slightly better at, I think, dodging or ignoring a foe's resistance to something. And monsters that are more cautious gain a bonus to possibly not use MP when they cast a spell later on. They all are very good, and so you want your monsters to be better in these categories, because you'll receive bonuses. Another hidden stat relates to running and actually defeating monsters. The more monsters you defeat, as well as, I think, a couple other weird things that slightly affect it, motivate your monsters, whereas running away demotivates them. The more motivated your monsters are, the better. Effectively, once they're over a certain threshold of being motivated, which is kinda hard to tell because it's a hidden stat, they'll just outright deal 50% more damage. So try to run away as little as you can. Now, as we can see, Slib increases to level 2 by gaining enough EXP. He gains 8 max HP, 3 max MP, 5 attack, 6 defense, 3 agility, 6 intelligence. A very good level for our little fella. So more or less, the more we actually command him in battle, the more his personality will eventually change. The worst personality in the game is lazy. You don't want a lazy monster because that means they have the lowest possible in pretty much every single stat. They're not brave at all, they're not cautious at all, and by goodness do they not know any intelligent tactics. Again, I keep using the word intelligence because I just don't remember the word for it right now that stat actually governs. You get the idea. Now, the best personality is hot blood, which means they have the max in everything. And maybe not the max, but a high enough anyways that they're getting every single benefit. Now, based on what personality you have, there's actually a chart you can look up that'll show you exactly what your monster is good with and what they're lacking. I don't know Whimsy off the top of my head, but by going through every single turn, using the plan in battle to actively command them, they'll gain the boost to the various stats, which is useful. So long as you're balancing them out, or at least going out of your way to not just only spam one of them, you'll even them out and eventually work your way up to hot blood. It's gonna take some time, but trust me, it's worth it. Otherwise, too, I guess I should talk about each stat and what it does. Attack is pretty straightforward. It's how much physical damage your monster will deal when not using any other spell. It's pretty simple. Defense is also pretty much just as simple. It's how much damage you'll reduce from physical attacks. This does not dictate magical defense. Otherwise, agility is a weird one. I've seen a lot of conflicting information online as to what agility does. I believe, based on my own research, that it influences your turn order and your chance to dodge attacks. I am not 100% sure on that because there are many different sources all claiming different things, and the sequel to this game, I believe, has it work a little different. So just know that more is better. The same can pretty much be said for all but one of the stats here. Intelligence is another weird one. The higher your intelligence determines what spells you can actually learn. This, in conjunction with your MP, will determine when you learn spells. Every spell in the game has a set level that a monster should learn it at, but if their intelligence and MP aren't high enough, they won't learn it. Instead, the game will then recheck every single level to see if they've met the minimum, and then after they've met the minimum, will randomly decide when they would learn that spell. It's a little goofy, but just know that you want high intelligence and high MP. Otherwise, continuing down the list, we have the Wild stat. Wild indicates how attached your monster is to you. A Wild of 5 is pretty good. Wild goes from a scale of 0 to 255. 0 meaning they are the friendliest they can be to you, with 255 meaning they really don't care for you at all and will actively disobey you should you try to command them in combat. Plans included, not just using directly command. So generally speaking, Wild is the only stat you want to be 0, the rest you want to be nice and high. I guess too, attack caps out at 999, defense caps out at 999, agility, interestingly, goes to 511. And I believe intelligence caps at 255 as well. HP can go up to 999, and for those unfamiliar, HP are your hit points. Once it hits 0, your monster dies. Not forever, but you won't be able to use them unless you find a way to revive them. Your magic points determine how much power you have to use on spells or abilities. Slib doesn't have any, so him having 0-3 really doesn't matter that much right now, though it will later. So yeah, a lot of front-loaded explaining, but trust me, it's a lot simpler than you think. Just know that generally more is better, and you want more. So, let's continue exploring. Ooh! Here, we find another herb. Very nice. And this hole. This is how we proceed to the next floor. Now, I want to continue to explore a little to see if I can find any other items. Well, that's the end of the map. As we can see, this map was only 4 tiles. So, although it wasn't a 2x2, it did still only have 4 tiles. Maps can do that, where although they can be a maximum size and a minimum, they may not follow a set square conformity, so keep it in mind. Noticeably too, I'll draw attention to Slib's MP. Notice that as we walk around, it's automatically going up. This means MP is quite versatile. HP won't do the same, so having a healing spell or other spells that say, reveal the map, keep your feet safe, can deal with poison or other things, makes a monster really versatile, and we'll want to go out of our way to try to find monsters with all sorts of skills and abilities. So for now, if we just hit attack, Slib will just keep on doing his thing that he's already set to, in this case charge. That's well and good, but again, you want to make sure to be commanding them as often as you can, as early as you can, to help instill good battle tactics. So, if you forget once here and there, it's not the end of the world. Just try to be a little more prudent on it in the future. Still, to be honest, I've beaten the entire game without knowing that and gotten through it just fine. It is not the end of the world if your monster isn't hot blood. In fact, I've gotten through the game with most of my monsters, I believe, being gullible or just ordinary. The game's not terribly hard. Hard math and just getting big numbers will dominate more than actual good tactics. Sorry to say. Still, I want to do my best to try to actually get monsters that have both good stats and good tactics. I think it'll be a fun challenge. Now, otherwise, too, seeing as, there I go again, smacking the A button, but still, it's good to get a little damage in. Seeing as we're fighting all these monsters, you might be wondering, well, if it's so similar to Pokemon, how do we actually recruit other monsters? Well, that's a bit of an interesting thing. Ooh, speaking of, wow, could not have timed that better. The anteater female got up and is looking at us. Want to take the anteater female into your party? Absolutely. Here, we can name the anteater, which it suggests AE for anteater. Most players recommend that you name them something so you don't forget them, like what they are at a glance. So like Ant-E, like that, right? Anteater, pretty good. But I want to show you a unique thing about this game. If you really don't know what to name them and you're just like, whatever, don't even bother giving them a name, you hit end, it'll automatically assign them a random name, which I think is really cool. Now, to be honest, I really don't like having the names be all caps like that. So I like to go back and rename them with the lower cases so it's a little more proper looking. And seeing as I was lucky and Luck showed up, let's name her Luck. After all, Lady Luck can be a cruel mistress. Do we want to take her with us? Absolutely. So, like I was saying, recruitment. It's a bit of a weird thing. Remember how I mentioned that wild stat? Basically, the lower that stat is in a battle for a wild monster, the more likely they are of recruiting themselves to your party. I said that in a really weird cadence, huh? Anyways, moving on. The more you reduce an enemy's wild is the more friendly they are to you. and it increases their chance of getting up and wanting to join you. Notably, this only works for whatever the final monster of the fight is. So, if you're trying to get a specific monster, this is one of the few times I would actually recommend using Command to try to scout specific monsters. Beat up all the other ones, then use an item we haven't obtained yet to make them more friendly, beat them, hope they join you. It's all up to chance, though there are ways of really giving yourself a better chance, kind of like using a better Pokeball. Effectively, you're going to find items that are straight up pieces of meat. These delectable treats can then be given to monsters to make them like you more. That's how you reduce wild. Now, notably too, you can also reduce it by traveling with your monsters, but you evidently can't travel with a wild monster. You'll be fighting them. So that doesn't work. So, eventually, we'll be carrying around treats like beef jerky, pork chops, even prime cuts of sirloin steak to give it to monsters to make them more friendly to us. Those items all reduce wild by a certain amount, and knowing that wild is a 255 system means you can really game it in your favor to lower their wild to basically 0, which almost guarantees a monster joining you. It doesn't actually, but it's darn near as close as you're going to get, and it's worth doing for certain monsters. Interestingly, base slimes are some of the hardest to recruit, which is really funny because you start the game with one. It also means I'm going to be keeping Slib around for a fairly long time, because he's really important. Trust me. Now also too, a cool feature that you may have already noticed that Pokemon didn't do until Pokemon Yellow was that all of your monsters walk around with you on the map. I thought this was an awesome feature, and when Pokemon Yellow did it with Pikachu, it was really cool. Though, it was a little sad that only Pikachu could do it. I don't think it was until Heart Gold and Soul Silver that all Pokemon had a sprite like that. So, Dragon Warrior monsters not only did breeding before Pokemon, they also had all of their monsters be visible on the map. It's kind of impressive all the little things this game did before Pokemon while being released, what, a year afterwards, 2 years afterwards? Whatever the actual difference was. I forget the Japan times, but you get the idea. Both very similar in concept games released very quickly and closely together on the Game Boy, doing a similar thing with vast differences. It's really impressive. It's also one of the reasons I love this game. It's pretty special seeing your monsters walk around with you, and I kinda love it. Still, as you can see, most of these early fights are pretty simple. Just bash each other over the head until one side succumbs. Pretty simple. Now, interestingly, we actually haven't seen an entire monster that normally you do by now. So I'm hoping to encounter them and recruit them because they're honestly really useful. But, hey, beggars can't be choosers. Worst case, I can run around and grind some levels and try to find them. But it would be nice if we naturally encountered them. Still, these easier encounters are nice. Also, there I go defending again by accidentally leaving Slib uncautious. Not the end of the world, because slimes give so little EXP. But it would be prudent if I actually, commanded my monsters like I've been making such a big deal about. Still, like I said, not the end of the world. Let's see. 4 of 4. Okay. So I do want to keep looking around for a Draki. This is the exact monster I wanted to find. Because they're a really great monster to recruit early on. They have a useful spell immediately. I say immediately. A spell that will be useful and is good to have now. And they will eventually learn a spell that's really useful. And hey, luck increased to level 2, gaining 5 HP, 3 MP, 6 attack, 3 defense, 3 agility, 3 intelligence. And wow, the female Dracky got up and is looking at us. Want to take her into your party? Absolutely. Now let's see. Meg, welcome aboard. Now, in the future, I probably won't be naming every monster with a unique name like this, but for now, I think it's hilarious. So let's use an herb, heal up luck there. And the nice thing, too, is when you recruit a monster, they join with maximum HP and MP. So it can actually be a reliable strat to recruit monsters mid-dungeon and bring them with you immediately, just to have whatever skills they have ready immediately. It's a desperation move, but it saved my hide more than once. Maybe not more than 5 times, but more than once. Now, otherwise, let's see. Everyone else is looking good. Now, I want to... No, I'll leave our order the same. But let's change our plans. Slib and Luck are where they're at. And I want Meg actually... Let's see. If they are there, I'll put her on Mix. So that way, Charge, Cautious, Mix. That way, we'll cascade it down and always have someone attacking and defending each turn. Very useful. Now, taking a look at the stats here. As you can see, Meg has big attack, so generally you want her to hit as often and as hard as she can. Her Luck does, not Meg, my goodness. Meg has good agility and decent intelligence with pretty good MP. She's spoiled. Not great. Same with Luck, but we'll fix that with a couple more fights. But Meg comes with Antidote, which cures poison. It's pretty useful. Eventually, I believe she'll learn Sleep, which is a really good status ailment that we'll want to have. So for now, I think I want to try to get everyone one more level. Yeah, that's going to be a good idea, just because that way we'll be ready for the boss and have a little more firepower. This way, too, we can also work on our stats there. And as you can see, Meg is going to try to use Antidote when set to Cautious, because she doesn't really know better. That's why instilling good tactics now is so important. Speaking of, Meg gains a level. 3 HP, 2 MP, 3 attack, 6 defense, 6 agility, and 3 intelligence. Now, I believe I mentioned it before, but every monster levels up in a set way. Although their base stats can be different, they'll always level up pretty much the same and have similar growths to a monster that is the same. The only exception to this is HP and attack, which is very subtly influenced by stats from breeding, which is kind of interesting. I'll get more into that once we actually can breed, but it's gonna be a little minute. So we'll have to earn it, which, hey, fair enough. But for now, I figure once we get Luck and Slib another level, we should be more than ready to take on the boss of this game, which, spoilers, we already know is Hale. Also, there I go, just mashing A. But hey, mash A, Slib gains level. Very useful. 6 HP, 1 MP, 3 attack, 4 defense, 1 agility, 4 int. And Meg gains a level. 1 HP, 1 MP, 2 attack, 4 defense, 4 agility, 1 int. Pretty good. Now, I want to say, too, depending on their stats, although their stat growths are already set in stone, I believe they do have a little variation based on in-between levels. So, by a certain milestone, they will always have X amount of stats based on the monster they are. But How they get them and when they get them will vary between those milestones, which again, it varies for every monster. There are some massive and very complicated charts that show this off. I can barely decipher any of them, and I'm not even going to bother showing you them because, frankly, it looks like a checkerboard with numbers filling every single slot. It's a lot to look at, and I don't think I need to be hurting your head as much as it hurt mine. So, carrying on, let's pop on in and find our way here to this room, which I believe is a reference to Dragon Quest IV, specifically Hale and Ragnar. I love Dragon Quest IV, it's the only reason I know this one. But, hey there, you must be Hale, right? How do you do? I'm Hale. I know you're here to catch me, but you can forget it. The farm is boring. I don't want to go back. So, trial by combat is the only way to solve things. This here is a healer slime. Otherwise, there's really not too much we can do here. So, just kind of employ your normal tactics like you would, and the fight should be over before you know it. So long as you've recruited an anteater and a draki, this fight should be relatively easy. If you didn't happen to recruit them, you can solo the fight with just Slib, but it is arduous. Basically, you're going to have Terry command, or not command, but heal Slib a lot more than if you had an actual party like this. So I really can't recommend it. Now notably, this fight, depending on what Hale decides to do, is actually a pretty good fight to keep commanding your monsters and giving them their own EXP or better personalities. Usually, the good old heal slime here will continue to heal himself until he's out of MP, and then, once they're out of MP, you'll just beat him to death, and that'll be that. But until then, take the opportunity to keep working on your stats. May as well. I say your stat, your personality gains. So otherwise, most of these fights, early on, are very simple. You usually don't have to worry too much, but depending on your monsters and their monsters, or the ones you're fighting, you might get unlucky, they might miss, you might get critically hit, you never know. For instance, you need to heal Luck now because Heal Slime started doing a bunch of damage. So, have Terry heal him up. Worst case too, if you're out of herbs, it might just be advisable to set everyone to charge and just finish the fight as quick as you can. Working toward better personalities is good, losing a fight is bad. Don't do it. And hey, this is a good example of most bosses. A lot of bosses in the game are recruitable. Most of them are auto recruits, but there's a good handful that either can't be recruited or are optional recruits, meaning you have a chance of recruiting them that can be affected by giving them treats. Hale is always recruited. He got up and is smiling at us. Want to take him into your party? Absolutely. Luckily, he's already named for us. Every single boss monster that you can recruit will automatically be named, which is kind of cool. So, this is Hale. Let's bring him with us. Now, frankly, I'm not going to point out every monster or every boss monster that can and can't be recruited, but there will be specific ones that I know can and ones that I know are optional. There are a few that are a drastic headache, but are well worth recruiting because they'll save you a lot of time breeding later on. Still, let's take Hale with us. For now, let's say no and let him go back to the farm. We'll pick him up later. You're strong. I like you, Terry. Well, thanks, pal. And hey, Wataboo. Right on, Terry.
I'll take you back to the castle.
Well, hey, thanks, pal. So yeah, every time you finish a dungeon, you'll generally have recruited a boss, see Wataboo, go home.
Oh, Terry, did you bring back Hale? What? Hale said he doesn't want to come back to me. Oh, but he said he would rather join you. I see. You sure are good with monsters. Well done. I'm pleased with your performance. I'll let Julio go. Thank you, Terry. Now I can go back to my farm. Terry, go to the arena. Your rivals are waiting for you at the arena. You can compete in the tournament if you defeat all of them. You're dismissed. Busy, busy, busy.
So, in addition to being brought back, you will also get fully healed by the minister. Give the courageous Master Terry the power of Great Tree. To get to the arena, go straight out of the castle and go down. If you survive in the arena, you can compete in the tournament. Which is true. So, next time we play Dragon Warrior Monsters, I think we'll go explore the farm a little more, pick up Hale, and then try our hand at the arena. As always, I'm Bread. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.